Hey y'all, so it's been a month since my last blog post, and I do apologize for that. It's taken a bit of time to get the internet up and to get my computer up and my office going. I still haven't unpacked, but I've been told by a few that I need to post. So I was like, okay, I'll post today. It's a lazy, snowy day. Pretty much every day so far has been a lazy, rainy, or snowy day. So I really don't have an excuse because I do have my cell phone, even though T-Mobile kind of sucks up here. So I thought that I would give a little bit of emotion to this post rather than use words because it has been a crazy 3.5, 4 weeks. And I don't think I could use enough words to describe what has been going on here. My face and can give a lot more emotion in 2 seconds than I could with 100 words. So I figured I'd give a little bit of a recap of what happened since my last post. Where I pretty much left off was, I think we were heading into Montana. Maybe not. I'm not really sure. What happened is we did have that 16-foot truck with the car attached. And as we got into Montana, the winds started to get really bad. At the time, we didn't know that there was a what we thought was just a windstorm in Washington going on. We didn't realize it was an actual windstorm that was considered by Avista. That's the electric company out here. What they would deem as one of the worst natural disasters in the history of their company. And it really was. We just thought it was just, a typical storm, just wind. We didn't know that what my brother was driving through was 50, 60, and 70 mile per hour gusts. He was just trying to hold on to that wheel as tight as he could and stay in the lane. And I actually got to see a real tumbleweed roll across the road. I didn't have enough time to get a picture of it because it kind of just went real fast. In the movies, they always go real slow, slow, slow. No, this one went whoop. But it was cool to see it. I said in Judaism, we have this blessing for when you see something for the first time or experience something for the first time. I actually said that blessing on it because I've never seen one before, except for in the movies. That was kind of cool though. Yeah, and we were driving, and when we got to this place called, I think it was Montezuma, I don't know. If you know the name that I'm talking about, please put it in the comments because I'd love to know where I was. It's right on the border. There's this pass that you have to go through, and when the weather's really, really, really bad, or there's a lot of snow or whatnot, they actually close the pass. That was where we found out that Washington was in a windstorm that was a little bit more than we thought. So we went in. That's when I had to call that's when I was supposed to call the water company to tell them, oh, we're going to be in Spokane in about this many hours. So this is when we'll be there for you to come turn the water on. That's when we found out that most of Spokane was out of power. And by most of Spokane, I mean 180,000 people were out of power out of a population of about 200,000 people. So just almost everybody. And we were one of them, even though we didn't have power yet anyways, but we already were told we were out of power, even though our power wasn't turned on yet. So that was like, okay. So we kept on trucking in our budget truck. Don't use budget. They suck. Okay. I'm not for U-Haul or Penske, But don't use budget. They suck. They're horrible. But so we finally roll into Spokane, and it was still light out when we got there. And we go and we still try to flip on the lights, and of course they're not turning on. And I'm like calling up the water company being like, we would like our water turned on. And they were like, well, we're kind of busy with other things. And we're like, okay, but we'd still like our water turned on because we would like to use our toilets. And finally they come and turn on the water, and we find out our water isn't turning on, and they have to send another person out. So for the first night that we were in our house, we had no water, no electricity, no heat, but we had this fireplace. And we were like sticking our hands up, trying to feel for like that lever to make sure it's like a real fireplace. And we couldn't find it. But we felt a draft. So we're like, we'll give it a try. We'll see if it works. So this woman, when we were in the backyard, this woman pops out through the fence that had fallen down from the wind. And she was like, who are you? And we're like, we're your new neighbors. And she got all excited all of a sudden and decides to tell us that, this was like the people that lived here before, because we bought the house on auction. And we had no idea what it looked like. We only knew what the outside looked like and just a few basic pictures on the inside, but nothing, we pretty much coming blind. And, she goes and tells us how this was like a drug house, and the people that lived here before were like car thieves and house thieves and drug addicts. And she starts telling us how like we have to be careful because like they might come back in the middle of the night to be squatters because it's cold. And like, she scared the shit out of me. I'm not sure if she really scared my brother or just made him a little nervous, but like she terrified me. So she brought over like kindling, but the kindling she brought over were whole trees. They were like, thankfully they were dead trees, but she brought over like seriously, there were whole freaking baby trees. And then she brought over all this like plywood, like no, not plywood. It was more like 2x4s and things like that. So for the first night, all of us slept on the floor. Me, my brother, and Delia. We slept on the floor with like this fire going, and it was freezing. It was it had to have been like maybe like 10 degrees that night, and it was just trying to keep that and because we all were exhausted from driving and everything. Well, I didn't drive. I sat in a bitch seat, but from the two of them driving and stuff, everybody was exhausted, and like the fire went out in the middle of the night, so of course like everybody woke up just exhausted and tired. And that night it snowed, so Delia's car was parked up top, and we couldn't get her car down the hill because they don't believe in plowing and salting the streets on the hill, or most of Spokane. So me and Adam we went for a walk, and like we found, it was either a 7-Eleven or what they have out here called Conoco, and we got we warmed up in the place. We also warmed up in a florist shop where they just had tons and tons of poinsettias, and then the guy that came to help us move came over, and that kept us warm by moving everything in and all that stuff. But once the truck was empty and we still had it, we used it to charge our phones, use their battery, not ours. We ended up being a week and about a week without power. But we did get our water, but all we had was ice cold water, which, that wasn't very fun. And it was just crazy. And this woman, she just kept coming over with stuff. Like, we were using our camping supplies to make to make hot water on the fire. And she came over at something like, it was like 6 o'clock at night. It was pitch black out because nobody had lights on. There were no street lights and stuff. And we took the truck And we went a block over to where a tree had gone through a fence, and the city had come and they had cut up the tree into the trunk into sections. I think this was totally illegal. And she said it's not really illegal, but I think it was completely illegal. But whatever. And my job was to hold the flashlight while her and my brother took with the dolly. They took the chunks of the tree and put it into the truck. And now those chunks of tree are in our backyard where they'll stay for the year until they cure, whatever, dry out. I don't know what the term is. I don't know yet. I'll learn it. But they're now in our backyard just chilling till next year when they'll be able to be firewood. Um, and and actually that's what a lot of people were doing. They were going and renting U-Haul trucks and going around the area collecting these trees that fell down. And we ended up being the second to last area to get our power back because the ground zero, I really don't like that term, but the ground zero area was 12 blocks away from where we live, getting hit the hardest, and we were the second hardest area hit. But luckily, because our house is like on the top of the hill, well, this hill, all of Spokane is one big freaking hill. Like coming from New York where there aren't really hills, I've moved to like a giant hill. So we were the second hardest hit area. But luckily, because of where we live and where our house is, we didn't have trees fall on us, thank God. But yeah, like everybody was like out like foraging wood off the streets. It's kind of like, seriously, you need a passport. Very, very, very weird. But that was our welcome to Washington. And then we just had just last week, we had like what was supposed to be a round 2 of the wind. And thankfully, it ended up not happening. We got about 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And I know that there were 6 of them because I was in the house. And 6 times the house shook so bad, I thought I was in Kansas and I was about to go to Oz. And I seriously was scared. Like a picture fell down off the wall once. And then the other time, my water actually did the Jurassic Park shake. And I was like, holy shit. But that was it. But they were really worried that it was going to be a round 2. So I'm very grateful that it wasn't, because I don't know what I would have done if a tree would have came falling down in the house. Because who am I going to sue? My brother? Be like, I'm suing you and your house insurance that my name is on. Like, I'm not going to get anywhere. But yeah, like, it's just been snowing and raining, and like I get so excited when the sun comes out. It's like a rare thing. It's like, like you go to like a Knicks game and like you get really excited because a celebrity's sitting on the floor seats and you get to see them. It's like that rare occurrence. But yeah, so every time I do see the sun, I'm like, hello sun, it's nice seeing you. When will you come back again? But yeah, there's some weird things about Spokane. Some very, very, very weird things. So, first weird thing, and this I think is a Washington state thing, is that when you register to vote, now I don't know if this is like other states do this as well, or I'm just basing this off New York, but when you register to vote, you don't declare your party. You don't declare if you're a Democrat or a Republican or independent. You don't do that at all. You just fill out like your name, address, and like your driver's license number or your last 4 digits of your social. You sign your name and you send it off, and that's it. I don't know if then later they'll send me a thing being like, oh, what party would you like to be a part of or not? And then I'm very curious, like, how that's going to work for the primaries, because does that mean I get to go vote at both primaries? Like, can I go and be like, ooh, I'm going to, like, mess with the Republican Party and I'm going to mess with the Democratic Party? Like, I don't know how that works yet. And I haven't really looked into it to find out. I keep saying I'm going to, but you know how you say you're going to keep doing something and then you just end up on Facebook or Twitter and then you realize it's 3 hours later and you haven't gotten anything accomplished besides finding out what are your top 3 profile pictures. That's been me lately. So I don't know how that works. And then it goes even a step further, though. I mean, like, I don't know if they've done this to, like, make it easier for you not to vote. I don't know, but they have, like, I've seen them at the libraries, and I saw one outside of their city hall. They're like these little, like, anorexic mailboxes. And they say, like, official ballot drop off on them. I think that's what they say. And what you do is, I'm assuming they mail you a ballot. I don't know. I'll find out. But you take your ballot and you put it in this box. So you don't have to go to a place to a poll station to vote. And I don't get it. Like, the whole part of voting is making it inconvenient. You have to get up, you have to get dressed, and you have to go there, take out your ID, sign your name, go into a little smushy box, or sit down on a little chair that's meant for kids, and use a black pen and fill in a little circle, and then go and try and shove it in a machine that never works the first time and maybe not even the second time before you finally get it into that machine. And then you get that sticker that says, I voted today, and then you leave. This is making it convenient. This is making it where they mail you your ballot. You have a certain amount of time to fill it out. Take your time at home. You don't have to see anybody if you don't want to. You don't even have to really get dressed. And then you just go and you can pull your car up to this little mailbox thing, jump out of your car, throw it in the box, and then jump back in your car and keep going. And you don't get a sticker. I mean, the sticker is so important. Like, well, I think the sticker is important because sometimes, like, you get the sticker and then you go into a certain place, you get, like, a free coffee, a free donut. I mean, there's perks with the sticker, but they don't have that. So and I mean, like, how long in advance do they have to do this ballot thing so that way they can have the numbers on the day of voting? So I'm a little, I don't know. I don't know if this is the way of the future, or if this is just them being lazy, or this is a way to cut costs by not having to have as many election officials overseeing. But those are they do get paid. So I don't know. One of these days I'll look into it and then we'll discuss. But I just don't like it. I don't like it at all. Another odd thing. Okay, this one is really odd. Okay, so Delia took me to meet some of her people because she's having a rather very active social life with the gentleman since she's been out here. And so she met a gentleman who invited her to an event, and she took me to said event, and I was there with her, and I met this lovely couple, and we started talking, and then we went to a Denny's that had a bar in it, a full bar. Okay, awesome. All Denny's should have full bars. And it wasn't like you were in the normal Denny's having the full bar. They had a lounge in the back, and I felt like I was in a completely different place because it had no windows, and you could still smell the smoke from when it was smoking, which made it even better. Like, I felt like I was in a bar in Billings, Montana. And I know that's very specific, but if you've ever been to a bar in Billings, Montana, you would completely understand what I'm talking about. So I had a carafe of a Bloody Mary with extra salt, and the carafe cost me $9.95. I mean, and it was an amazing Bloody Mary too for Denny's. So we're sitting there, we're discussing, and I found out that they have 2 rain barrels. Now, you think, what's wrong with a rain barrel, you know? you're harvesting water. You're trying to conserve water and leave a less carbon footprint on the environment. Do you know that in Spokane, Washington, I don't know about the rest of the state of Washington, I just know about Spokane, but in Spokane, Washington and Spokane Valley, it is illegal to harvest rainwater. I'll let that sink in for a minute. Okay, it's sunk in. It is illegal to harvest rainwater in a city that just last year had one of the worst droughts in history. And it's also illegal because it's breaking the treaty with the Native Americans. I can't figure out how this is breaking the treaty, so I'm not even really going to discuss that. But we'll discuss how it's against the law towards the city. What they explained to me is because it's taking water away from the aquifer. Now they collect water all year in their aquifer, and then in the summer that water is used, I guess year round, that water is used to provide water for the residents of Spokane, and it's especially used in the summer when they don't have water. But this year it's starting to look like there might not be such a bad drought because we're getting such a good snowpack in the mountains. But this is how I see it. You collect water in the winter, right? Now that water is then used in the summer in your home. By doing that, you aren't using water from the aquifer, which means you're taking pressure off a system that is already overburdened by so many people using the system, which would mean you're engaging in conservation, which this city is known for. I mean, they did have the World Fair here. Yes, it was the smallest World Fair, but it was the only World Fair ever about conservation. So you'd think that the city would embrace that and might even give you a discount on your taxes or something because you're doing such. But it doesn't. If they catch you, they fine you. And they'd rather you use the water from the aquifer and make it just harder on the system when you could be using water that already the ground is oversaturated, does not need any more water, because the more water in the ground is making the trees easier to fall when we keep getting these storms. So why is it illegal? I don't get it. And who owns rain? Seriously. I don't own rain. The city doesn't own the rain, and I don't remember the Native Americans ever claiming to own rain. I mean, if they do, I mean, all power to them, but I don't remember them ever saying they own the rain. I know they said that they own the land, but I don't remember them saying they ever own the rain. So I don't get how it's illegal. So if you can figure out a way other than the fact that the city's just trying to make money on you having to buy the water, let me know. Because I can't figure it out. And the whole night I just kept saying, I don't understand. That was all I kept saying the whole night. That's why I had to drink, because I couldn't figure it out. So if you can figure it out, let me know. I just don't get it. So that's another strange thing about Washington. And it seems like every day there's something new and exciting and just doesn't make sense. But trying to figure it out. And I'm having fun. To the most part. I mean, it's pretty lonely out here. I haven't really made any friends. They're very cliquey out here. It's not like New York where you can go into a bar and 5 minutes later you've made your best friend and they've told you their entire life and you've made plans for brunch the next day. Oh my God! And you know what sucks out here? They have tons of buffets, and I have a theory about why there's so many buffets out here. And this also goes into this other subject. If you want to order delivery out here, delivery costs are like $8. And then like lo mein is like $12. And I'm like, why is it so expensive? And I think it's the same thing as like why there's so many buffets. And it's because weed is legal. So I think the food companies, the restaurants and everything are all taking advantage of the fact that everybody gets stoned and are really lazy and just sit at home and smoke. So I can't just go on Grubhub anymore and just be like, ooh, I want Thai food tonight. So that's another thing that sucks. But there's a lot of food options out here, like tons and tons of food options. It's kind of crazy how many food options there are. It's going to take me a while to get through them. But, and like the prices are normal in the stores, like in the restaurants. It's when you do the takeout, they like bump up the prices a lot. It's like, what the hell? Like, haven't you, like, you should have the I'm high price menu, and you should have the I'm not high, I'm home working on my novel, and I don't want to stop and go walk 2 miles to your restaurant to get food. It should be like, if you're high, press 1. If you're not high, press 2. And then there should be like a question to prove it. You know, like a joke or something. If you find it funny, press 1. If you don't, press 2. And if you press 2 because you don't think it's funny, that really means you're high, or something. I don't know. But so I'm going to leave it at here for now. I do hope you enjoyed my long babble about how Spokane is another place on another planet. I will try to keep this more updated now that I am more situated and getting out of boxes and whatnot. And as I explore the city more, oh, I met the mayor. He's a silver fox. Yes, he is. I've decided to get into politics on some sort of level, because he's a silver fox, and he was like this to me. He was like this. And he was like, "Ooh, you can take me home." But then I saw a picture of his family, and they're gorgeous, and I don't want to be a home wrecker. Say no to home wrecking. But yeah, that's another story, another time. So with that, I will say Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and Happy Holidays, for whatever you might celebrate. I don't want to offend anyone, so I guess I'll also say Happy Sunday. I don't know. Nowadays you offend everybody, so I guess I'll just say Happy Sunday, because I don't think you can offend somebody for that one. Until next time.